Welcome to the Work Well, Live Well podcast. I'm Leanne Camilleri and I'm passionate about helping people to flourish personally and professionally. Drawing on the foundations of positive psychology and well-being, I hope that what I share is of value to you. My mission is to help people to work well and live well. So let's get started. Imagine living 24 hours of darkness for months at a time. Imagine the temperature hovering around minus 35 degrees. You can't get in or out. You didn't even pick the people you live with. And you're stuck there for a year. Antarctica in winter is totally inaccessible, which means once the last ship leaves in February, no one can get in or out of the place until the ship returns in November. Everyone, meet Rachael Robertson.
Hi.
Rachael led an expedition to Antarctica and was responsible for the welfare and safety of 18 members of her team for an entire year. Today, she'll share with us some inspiration from her tough year in Antarctica. Rachael, thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Doesn't sound that enticing, does it?
I find it so exciting. Wow.
Yeah.
How on earth did you get to Antarctica?
I'd love to say it was a career path, a professional choice, but it wasn't. It was I was just flicking through the newspaper and I saw an advertisement recruiting for station leaders, and what really intrigued me was they recruit for personal qualities, so they recruit for empathy, resilience and integrity. You don't need to know a thing about Antarctica. And I thought, that's really interesting. And I was managing customer service people at the time, and I thought, imagine if I could recruit for that. I'll teach them the technical, but imagine recruiting for empathy and resilience. And so the only reason I applied was I just wanted to get to the job interview because I wanted to know what their questions were.
Yes.
And I was going to copy them. And then I found out the job interview was actually a week-long boot camp in the Central Highlands of Tasmania. And so I've ended up in this boot camp and then just thought, you know what, this could be a really cool opportunity. and then they rang and offered me the job and I thought, well, why not? You know, why not? I'd rather regret what I did than regret what I didn't do.
And what were some of the obstacles that you came up against in that experience?
Oh, it was huge. As you can imagine, I mean, the environment is tough. It is, as you mentioned, it's dark 24 hours a day. It's minus 35. There's blizzards. But that's not a patch on the people stuff. The people stuff is really hard. When you've got 18 people, very, very different people, living together, it's such an intense situation. We can't get away from each other. That, for me, was the biggest challenge. That was way harder than the environment. And just trying to create a team that functioned in that environment. And we developed this mantra that respect trumps harmony. And we did that because I realised early on that we weren't all going to be friends.
Yeah.
And in fact, some of them didn't even like each other.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, does it really matter? And I thought, no, as long as we respect each other and we treat each other respectfully, we don't have to all be best mates.
Yeah.
And that took away that pressure of, yeah, we're all great friends. And it just meant that we could actually be more authentic and deal with issues as they came up.
Because that's hard, isn't it? It can be a challenge in workplaces for sure, where, you know, someone doesn't like someone, so they're not going to talk to them, or you know, all the politics, you know, comes up. It can be a real challenge in dealing with that for everybody.
Oh, absolutely. And it's quite an Australian thing that we talk about mateship, you know, and we're big on mateship in Australia. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but with the diversity we have at work now, and 5 generations and different genders and religions and cultures and sexualities, there will come a day where you work with someone who you're not friends with, and that's okay, you know. And also, if you want innovation in your team, you want to innovate, you actually need diversity. You know,
Yes.
if you've got all the same people, you're not going to get innovation.
No, that's so right. You know, in some things that I'm involved in, we talk about unconscious bias and things like that, and that very much it related to that, isn't it? And needing to have you know, everyone in their own unique way brings something to the table.
Yeah, that's right. And together you create something fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, but it has challenges, and that is that you're different people. So as long as you respect that, it's fine.
Yeah. How did you go
for, is it 6 months in the dark?
Yeah, it is. It's this time of year it's 24 hours of daylight, so summer, 24 hours of daylight, and then we get 6 minutes of darkness each day gradually until it's 24 hours of darkness. And 24 hours, actually 24 hours of daylight I found harder because if you don't sleep, we all know this, if you're not sleeping well, it affects your resilience. So you have to have your curtains completely blacked out because a tiny little bit of sunlight coming through, you'll wake up and your brain goes, oh, it's daytime, and it might be 4 o'clock in the morning and it's bright daylight. So that was really difficult, whereas the winter, I guess I was prepared for it. I thought it could be an issue with depression, so I sort of went in, prepared for it with some ideas around how to keep the team motivated in winter, but summer just, caught me by surprise. The 24 hours of daylight was really, really tough.
Wow. And so did you have a lot of cranky people for a little while?
You wouldn't believe, and it was little things. But what I learned was some of the little things. We had I call it a bacon war, and people say, is that a euphemism? I know. It was a fight over whether bacon should be soft or crispy. But what had happened was it actually manifested as bacon. It was actually an issue about something else, and it manifested in the bacon, and it taught me that in all workplaces we have these little things that really irritate people. And the reason they irritate is that they're the symptom, and the deeper issue is around a lack of respect. So things like people who are always late, might only be 5 minutes, but they're always late. And it's like, oh, it's only 5 minutes. Well, no, it's not. It's actually disrespectful. I know a lot of teams share vehicles. It's people, you jump in the car and go to take the car out, and someone's had it before and it's got no petrol in it.
Yes.
And I had a team like that for years, and I'd say, fill the car up with petrol. And it's only when I stopped talking about petrol and started talking about respect that the behaviour changed, because that's nothing to do with petrol. It's disrespectful because it implies my time's more important than yours. So I'll bring the car back with no petrol, or I'll be late to the meeting because my time's more important than your time. And that's why it irritates us. And so you take that and you put it into 24 hours of darkness where we can't get away from each other. We're inside. We can't even go outside in winter. And it's just like this powder keg. So my job was to try and find ways of dealing with that and raising issues, discussing them, dealing with it, get over it and get on with it.
Rachel, you, in your book, Leading on the Edge, the whole weekend, I read it in a weekend, and the book, one of the main things is a mantra that I use regularly, and that's, regret the things you did, not the things you didn't. Would you explain that for everyone, or what that means?
Yeah. When I was offered the job, it really came down to that, and I was 35 at the time, and I was single, and I thought, really I should. Mum was concerned. She thought I should probably stay in Melbourne and keep dating and potentially find the love of my life and have children, and she was worried that at that age, at 35, 36, it's not a really good age to take a year out of socialising. But then I thought, I'd rather do it and regret it, like get down there and think, oh, what have I done, than not do it. And I think, imagine if I didn't do it. Imagine if I didn't do this expedition and I just went on living my life, and I might never meet someone. I might not want to meet someone. There's nothing wrong with that. So it was like, I can control this, so I'm going to make the decision to do it, and I'd rather do it. I couldn't stand the thought of looking back 10 or 15 years from now going, oh, what if I'd done that? Well, I wonder what would happen. I thought I'd much rather do it and go, oh, that was not done. And I think it's a great way to live your life, to actually do it and then go, oh, shouldn't have done that, than not do it. Because I just think to get to the end of your life and look back and think, oh, all these regrets of stuff you could have done and should have done, rather than, okay, shouldn't have done that.
Since using that mantra, that has helped me in some things, in progressing in my life, because if you go ahead and do it anyway, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Definitely, yeah. And if it's like starting a new job or leaving corporate life and starting your own business, and even if you get there and you think, oh, I shouldn't have done it, you can make another decision. You can say, oh, I'll start my own business. You give it a couple of years, it doesn't work, well, go and get a job. You can make another decision. Nothing is forever. Nothing's except having children, I guess. And I'd like to think
stuck with them.
I'd like to think marriage is as well. Yeah, lots. You'd like to go into the marriage thinking it's forever, but there's no decision that you can't change and undo.
Yes.
Particularly with work.
Yeah, that's so true. Rachel, resilience. How did you maintain resilience through that year
Yeah.
in Antarctica.
It's tough. I was the second woman at Davis Station, and I had dinner with Diana Patterson, who's the first woman, and I asked her, I said, how did you do it? And she said to me, one of the tools, she said, I kept a journal. And I thought, oh, yeah, great. I haven't got time for a journal. And then I thought, you know what? This woman knows what she's on about. She's done it, so she knows what she's talking about. So I thought, I'll trust it. So I kept this journal. It was, oh gosh, it kept me sane. It was cathartic. It wasn't, dear diary, today I went and photographed penguins. It was, this person's driving me crazy, and if I could send them home, I would. And it actually, what it did, it got the emotion out.
Yeah.
So that, I get goosebumps when I talk about it. It got the emotion out so that I could sleep.
Yeah.
You know, rather than waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, churning things over in my head, it actually got the emotion out, and so I slept better, which made me more resilient. The other thing it did as a leader, I had no one tapping me on the shoulder saying, you know, you've got that wrong, you've got that right. So it gave me the ability to reflect on my own performance as a leader and look back and go, ooh. And so things I got wrong, the only way I worked out I got them wrong was because I wrote them down in my journal, and then I reflected and went, oh, that was something, I did that, I made that decision, wow. And so the journal was just, kept me sane.
Yes.
And it really was just to get the emotion out. And my only rule around journals is you've got to handwrite them.
Yes.
I've had people say to me, oh, you know, they're typing their journal, and it's like, no, because then you spell check and you change your grammar, and that's not the idea. The idea is just to get the thoughts out and the emotion out. And for me, it was fantastic.
I find once I start writing, everything just sort of flows out.
Yeah, and that's it. I wrote a page. Yeah, same. I disciplined myself to write a page every day.
Right.
And it was sometimes it started off as a chore, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've got nothing much to write today. But then something would you know, clink in my brain, or a memory would come in, and then I would just start writing and writing, and before I knew it, I finished, you know, 1 page, 2 pages. But it was really for the mental health. That's why I did it.
Yeah, that's something that's just so helpful in being able to you know, look at the, you know, any problems that you might have, or you know, looking back on when you say looking back on the you know, what you're experiencing, you see things in a different light, don't you?
Absolutely. And sometimes you're so in the middle of something that you can't, I don't want to use a cliche, but you can't see the forest for the trees. You actually can't see it. And so the journaling really helps you get clarity, and it helps you because you can write it and then you can look back at it and think, so what is the real issue here? What's really worrying me here? And it just gives you a clarity that sometimes you can't get just from thinking, and you overthink and then you get tired.
Yes.
So, but for me, it was really mental health. Yeah.
Being the second woman in Antarctica to lead a team, and you know, when we're talking about in today's world with diversity and things like that, how was your experience with that, and how were you treated as a leader? Did you have any issues?
Yeah, my team were really good, and the only reason they were so good is that the Antarctic Division invests a lot of time and energy into recruitment, so they actually weed out all of the problem people. But I have been in situations, because I've worked in male-dominated industries my whole life, where, you know, even in my very first job, I was challenged as a woman, and in one way it was actually a gift, because it opened my eyes at the age of 21 that there would be men who didn't want me in their world. And so, as tough as it was at the time, it wasn't covert. It wasn't under the ground. You know, it was obvious. They obviously didn't want me. Yeah. So it made me think, okay, I'm going to have to work hard here and keep my head down and listen and learn. And so as I rose through the ranks, I never tried to assert authority. I just thought, I've got authority. I have the authority. I am the manager, or I am the leader. Yeah. And so I was very conscious of not asserting that. I don't need to assert it. I've got it. And then it was just a matter of learning and asking questions and listening, and getting a mentor as well, getting mentors, getting executive sponsors, getting coaches. So getting all of that help around me to give me the technical knowledge really helped.
Yeah. Having a mentor really does help, doesn't it? Because they're the ones that will sort of push you in the right direction, make you think outside of the box, or they have that wisdom as well where, you know, they've been there and done it before, and, you know, what they share is gold, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's it. It's from experience.
Yeah.
They're speaking from experience. So often when I'm talking to people about this, it's that third-party clarity. You know, when I'm particularly emerging leaders, and I say one of the most valuable tools you have is a third party. It doesn't have to be someone in your business. It could be a friend or someone at home. But that third party clarity of someone who can just come in and say, have you thought of this? Have you thought about that? Or I had a similar, and mentors, that's what mentors do. They say, I had a similar issue 2 months ago, and how I dealt with it was ABC.
Yes.
And you can either choose to do that or not. But sometimes it's that light bulb that comes on from someone who who's not in the situation, because you're in it.
Yes.
It's hard to see sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, like you say, you can't see the smoke for the trees.
Yeah.
Given, your book as a given and journaling as a given as some ways to tackle well-being and leadership in a very difficult situation, or challenging perhaps is a better word. Do you have a well-being tip, mantra, book that you could share with the group?
I think, gosh, if I had my time again, what I would have done 20 years ago was this practice of no triangles, which we have with our team in Antarctica. And it was really simple. It was, I don't speak to you about him, or you don't speak to me about her. If someone has upset you, you have the professional courtesy and the integrity, and you go direct to the person. You don't bring it to a third party. And, I wish I had done it 20 years ago, because the amount of time and energy that I spent over the years listening, not contributing, but just listening to people going, whinge, complain. And they don't want you to do anything about it. Even as the leader, that I'd say, do you want me to do anything? And they'd say, no, I'm just letting you know. And it's exhausting. It's time-consuming and it's exhausting.
Yes.
So I now have a practice of it. Even at the school, I have a practice with, any other parents who talk to me about the teachers. I said, don't talk to me, go and talk to the teacher. No triangles. And so I have a practice of it now. But I just wish, for my own mental health and well-being, I'd done it years ago, because you don't mean to get caught up in those conversations, but even by just listening, you're actually tacitly, you're actually supporting it and saying it's okay. And I just wish I had this reputation around me that Rachel's a no triangle person, so don't bother, don't even engage her in those conversations, because she doesn't want to hear it. And I do now. I'm strict on it now. And all my teams, I insist with all my teams that I work with that it's no triangles. But it's really common sense, because how it started, someone complained to me and I said, do you want me to talk to him? And he said, no, I'm just telling you. And I actually said out loud, but if you don't talk to him and I don't talk to him, you and I will have this same conversation next week and the week after, and we will always have this conversation, because nothing can change if this person is unaware. And it was just, how simple is that? It's so simple.
It is.
But I've never thought of it before. And I honestly, for my own well-being, I wish I'd done it sooner.
Look, thanks so much for spending a bit of time with me to have a chat. How can people find you if they want to know more about you?
Yeah, my website's probably the best resource, so that's just RachelRobertson.com. nothing too fascinating there. And then, I'm more than happy. I have an online leadership program, which is a 12-week leadership program. We deliberately did it that way to make it low cost and make it available to people in remote areas.
Okay.
So we wanted anyone, anywhere who could devote, and it's only like 15 minutes a week. You watch the video and then there's a workbook that you fill out. So we wanted to make it available to anyone, anywhere, particularly for women.
Okay.
So there's that, and then I often do a lot of speaking work at events and travel around. I'm usually in someone's neighbourhood, talking to a group. So more than happy to come out and chat to groups.
Well, I'll put a link to your course and your book in the notes, and also what we'll do is we'll ask if there's any questions from the group, and perhaps we can get you on to
absolutely
answer them if they've got some.
Absolutely. Send them in.
Excellent. So thanks again for spending the last 20 minutes with me.
My
I really
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure.
And thank you.
No worries.
Okay.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me. I really loved this conversation with Rachael. Ever since reading her book, I have kept that mantra, regret the things you've done, not the things you didn't. And I live by that now. Journaling is also something that I find of great value, and it was really interesting to share her perspective on that. And of course, the no triangles concept. I think we can all identify with this in the workplace and how this would benefit the dynamic of a workplace. I've included the links to this in the show notes, and also links so that you can find Rachael and all the things that she has to offer. Bye for now.